Hey everybody, this is Joyce Chow, and today I'm talking about a documentary we're working on called All Words Do Matter. Now, if you've been watching what's going on politically, you are much more aware that all words do matter because, for example, we're going to use a word that people have been hearing about for years, and that is nigger. Okay?
Okay, we're going to explain it simply. My mother, even though my mother is American Indian, my grandmother was actually born in England, and she is an American Indian also. But in England, my grandmother didn't think anything of it. They would come up and say to my grandmother, who was a penny-pitching little Jew, you know, "You're niggerly." And they would simply, you know, they'd tell her husband, you know, her husband, who was also, you know, he basically had to go by the name of John Shriver because, you know, Little Eagle Shriver wasn't going to work well. But he would also say, "You're the most niggerly man I've ever met in my life." And then they came to the United States. My grandmother, she came over here and she started working with Edison because she was in the film business in England, which I forgot to mention that. She came over here and they settled in Cicero, Illinois, and before they went back east to work there, because my grandfather also was in the house business. But she without even thinking about it, she would say to someone in the early part of the 20th century, "You're niggerly." And they said, "We're not niggers." And she said, "But you're niggerly." And they said, "We aren't niggers." And these were white people that were throwing fits about it. And they finally had it explained, you know, that you can't say that in the United States because she said, "But it's a common word in England, and I was born in England." They said, "Well, you can't say it in the United States." Political correctness at the turn of the 20th century, but that's a word that it means different things to different people.
And it means different things to different people. It's sometimes based on who's saying it.
Yeah.
Because I remember friends were like, "Yeah, we grew up, our friends would say, 'Hey, nigga, what's happening?'" Right? Now that was a friend to friend. But if you are on something else and you say, "Hey, nigger," and they don't know who you are, they think it's derogatory.
Yeah.
But it's often been used as friend to friend or to talk about their penny-pinching ways.
Well,
So, and sometimes even like when we talk about words, it's not only the words that are said, it's the words that aren't said. And for example, we're going to say another word, gun.
Yeah.
Okay? Depending on who you are, gun is actually neutral.
Yeah.
Okay? It depends on who has it, who's using it, how they're using it.
There are people that actually think that guns jump off of tables and kill people. No, people kill people. A gun is a device, as is a hammer, as is a machete, as is a match. More people are killed by arson than they are by gunfire.
And there are words like in Hawaii, is it mahalo?
Mahalo.
Mahalo. So depending on how you say it,
Oh yeah.
may be good or bad or friendly.
In German, it's the same thing. I used to do, you know, because of World War II, and I was German, I'm blonde hair, and I spoke with a German accent when I'm not very careful. I still do it today. You'd say something like, "Was ist los?" which is simply, "What is this?" And then they'd say, "No, that's not how you say it. Was ist los?" But then becomes a command and it makes you look like you're putting people down.
Well, and yeah, that's a perfect example because people say, "Well, why are they arguing?" I'm like,
They weren't arguing.
They weren't arguing. That's just how they say it. Because there's certain languages, like when they get excited, like Germans,
Yeah.
right? Or Chinese,
Yeah.
which when they talk, it sounds like they're screaming or yelling at you when they get
Yeah.
excited. But they're not.
And there's
They're just talking.
depending upon your family's upbringing. For instance, my grandmother, I learned to speak in Gaelic. In Gaelic, they can be the very most precise and very Gaelic. You know, you speak with your little Irish accent, and then you go into Gaelic. When you're speaking Gaelic around people that speak English, you're insulting them. It's definitely meant as an insult because you're talking about the people and you don't want them to hear what you're saying. It's the same thing as you go into a place where it's basically a Latin, you know, we'll go into McDonald's where everybody in the place is Latin but us, and then all of a sudden they stop speaking in Spanish. They start speaking in English because they don't want to. Here's the trick is that in California, most people don't realize we speak multiple languages in California.
Well, and there's so many times people you will use language as a means to either include or not include you,
Yeah.
or to be insulting, or but
No, well, okay.
they can't.
Okay, Cynthia, when I got married, Cynthia, my wife, she was very smart. She spoke in 11 different languages. She explained to me what people were saying about people who were wearing uniforms like I was in 11 different languages, and not a single one of them was nice. I mean, they used to call me, you worthless son of a bitch, you fuck, you know, this. And this is, but in those languages, they could smile at you and say that, and you would think, oh, what's the big deal? But then I learned that they weren't nice, they were bad.
They were just saying it in words that they thought you couldn't understand.
Yeah.
And they would say it really nice, like they would smile and insult you.
Yeah, Hollywood's a perfect example, and because I was, you know,
Some people would call that passive aggressive.
I was in the 1970s. They were really pissed off about the American military. So my my father was an officer in the military, and she was Asian. So she'd make me wear my uniform to events, just because she wanted to see what people would say. And then they'd say something, and she'd smile in her cute little way and bend over so they could look at her chest. And then she'd insult the hell out of them in whatever language that she knew they spoke. And they knew they were being insulted because she wanted to be certain, you know, I actually mean this to be insulting, she would tell them. And then tell them what she thought of them as they're looking at her chest. Yeah, so, you know, she'd put them in their proper place. That's the only reason I went to parties in the 70s, is because she made me go, because she was a malevolent little 5 foot tall Asian, so. But it can be language. Words are important. How you use them, where you use them. And this is what this is all about. It's going to be a good documentary on Words Do Matter.
Actually, you know, I was sitting there thinking about it. It actually probably would be good for the school system.
Yeah, and here's one. Right now, we're giving everybody the first version of the theme music to the thing, which is simple. It's a unitarian, unisex, everything, which is simply "You're My Love." It's meant for everybody.
Because love is usually very positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's no way. I mean, you can take a song, a ballad, and twist it by using it in ways that are not mattered. But see, this is a whole documentary built on Words Do Matter. And when you say "You're My Love," you can basically say with sign language. You can say it in a different language, but it mainly will mean the same thing in every language, no matter how you phrase it. It's gay people, straight people, Latins, Caucasians, Asians, American Indians, you know, and it doesn't make any difference. It's still the same thing. When you say to a person, "You're my love," they understand that. It is meant to be universal.
It really is.
So it's going to be done in multiple. The song, when it's finished, will be done with people from other languages and other races, and both gay and straight, singing "You're My Love."
Because really, all words do matter. And we will update you with more information. But meanwhile, just stay tuned and we'll keep you posted. And this is Joyce Chap for All Words Do Matter.